Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It is your boy Road Dogg here with none other than the leader of many boy bands, the mountain biking guru himself, the king, Karl Bryan. How are you, big fella?
Road Dogg, doing good, Shoots, doing good. How you doing, buddy? What's happening, man? What's happening?
Just getting ready for a massive week and pretty pumped up. I got some great questions in the queue here for you as well. So that is it. What's happening in your world this week?
Not much, buddy. A little bit of kickboxing this weekend. It was close to 40 so our 40 degrees if you're Celsius, and well over, it's over 100 if you're Fahrenheit. And I was doing some kickboxing, and I got to tell you, Shoots, I nearly passed out. So that's what I was doing, but I love my kickboxing. Nothing quite as fun as that. I did not go mountain biking this weekend. I was scheduled, I'm not going to lie, but I took a pass with the weather being a little too hot. Call me a lightweight if you want, but that's what I did. But that's what's going on here, Shoots. Nothing too exciting.
Just so you know, just because you go up a mountain doesn't mean it's hotter because you're closer to the sun. It typically is actually cooler up there, just so you know. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but, science. All right.
I'm not very fit, Shoots. I'm not very fit. So,
well, listen, if it's one thing I know, I definitely missed you at the gym last week. That bar isn't going to just lift itself. So I had to lift it and actually put some weights on it. So that was exciting. But I'm hoping to see you this week. We'll see, right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the passion has moved along.
I'll be there, Shoots. Don't you worry. Let's go.
Which is interesting because this leads perfectly into the first question. I can relate this to either Karl's workout ethic, or I can lead it to business coaching. But I'll take the business coaching angle. So the first question is about, do you ever worry about avoiding complacency? And then how do you combat this? And the reason that I think it's also a valuable question, because correct me if I'm wrong, Karl, like you see a lot of coaches, I know I've been guilty of this. You go out, you have some quick wins, some quick success, and you sort of start resting on your laurels. And it's like, oh, this is easy peasy. I've got my whatever, 6, 8, 10 clients. I'm good to go. I don't have to do events anymore. I'm sure you see that a lot. So like, how do you avoid falling into that complacency? And just what do you do to combat it?
So first of all, I think you just brought up a good point. So I would start with a framework. When you're thinking of your coaching company, just put it into 3 baskets. You've got lead gen, you've got conversion. So that's actually getting the clients to sign on, which is an entity unto itself. And then thirdly, you've got the fulfillment of the coaching, right? So you got lead gen, conversion, fulfillment. And most people, when they think about hitting 7 figures or crushing their goals, or maybe it's hitting 100 grand and maybe it's hitting, 500 grand, whatever the number is, they think of recruitment. They think of box number 1, lead gen. I'm here to tell you that what will stop you from building a 7-figure coaching company with 100% certainty is going to be box number 3, and that's fulfillment, because that's the time. You see, when you've got your 20 clients, and then you're coaching them on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, that it's the time, and it's not just time, it's prep, it's the coaching of them, it's the follow-up, it's the bandwidth to do all of that. It's the bandwidth of, following through, like you're going to send them a resource, you're going to look for something, you're going to knock together a spreadsheet or a Google Doc for them. So anyways, but just thinking about that, it's lead gen is just a system, right? But the fulfillment, box number 3, is time. But so do I avoid complacency? And I'll just tell you, like, for my own world. So hang on, whoa. Back to what I was saying. Road Dogg, what you described is like that roller coaster, which I think we might have spoken about very recently on a podcast. But, you go up, you do the lead gen, you do the event, you get the clients, you're fulfilling them, and all of a sudden you start going down because let's say you close 6 clients at your event. Well, you lose one, you lose two. Road Dog loses them, I lose them, you're going to lose them, Tony Robbins loses them. Like, don't think for a second you're going to sign up 6 coaching clients and not need to generate leads, right? So you need to be, so always, if you don't want to ride the roller coaster, make sure that box number 1 is consistently being done. And that's the first one that gets turned off because it's the one that most coaches generally don't enjoy, right? But coming on, like I don't have a problem with complacency. I just tell you, I'm not going to stop. I'm totally obsessed with cracking the code for coaching. You're measured in life by what you finish, not what you start. All invention started as like an idea, right? Therefore, so your greatest asset is your imagination, right? And your goal should be respected, not liked, right? Like, again, don't do it till like that's so just, you want to be respected, not liked. I think that there's superpower in that statement. The cheetah goes after the sick and the weak first. The wounded gazelle gets mauled by the cheetah. Amazon, when they got going, they went after, make no mistake about it, they created enemies. I have a mentor, literally had a call this Saturday, and we were talking about enemies. We were framing up. We spent time sitting there working out who is the enemy so that we know who to go after. Amazon went after the sick and weak publishers when they first got going because they had no choice, right? They couldn't pretend to compete with the larger players. And as they got bigger and as they got stronger, they started attacking larger and larger players, right? But those larger players became weak in the eyes of Amazon because they became that much stronger, right? So, it's like a business coach gets starting and it's always no one's ever got any money, right? Like if that's what you're saying, you're in the sandbox of the business coaching world. And that's not a bad thing because I was in the sandbox. Road Dog was in the sandbox. You may be in the sandbox. That's okay. That's a good thing, and accept it. Like if that's where you're at. But the goal is not to stay in the sandbox. The goal has to be to get out of the sandbox, right? So the super successful business coach, is never going to give up or give in to complacency. Like they don't say that nobody's got any money and then that stops them from going to the BNI group. That stops them from going to the chamber events. That stops them from doing the local live events. What they do is they start making adjustments, right? Like hockey games are won and lost in the last 2 minutes of the period, right? Especially the last 2 minutes of the game. That's when the competition is tired, in the same way that football games are won in the last 2 minutes of the half and then the last 2 minutes of the game, right? It's at the end of the shift where you tend to score goals. It's that last 2 minutes of the football game is where it really matters. When the offense is on the field, Tom Brady takes them from the 5-yard line all the way to the other end of the field, and does it not in one 80-yard pass, but does it 10 yards at a time, 10 yards at a time. By the time he gets to the other end, the defense, he knows that the defense is absolutely dying. It's significantly easy. If you don't play football, it's significantly easier to play offense than defense. And the reason why is defense have to think. I remember I played some high school football. I was actually pretty good at it. I played defensive back. I'm pretty sure Road Dog's going to make fun of me over that one. But I was a league all-star, whatever. I was a wide receiver and running back, but more wide receiver. But I played defense. And I was debatably probably better at offense, but I way preferred defense. And the reason why is I had to continue to think. It was boring for me playing offense because if I knew the play, I knew whether or not I had to do anything, right? On defense, I never knew if the guy was going to get thrown the ball, and I loved it. Anyways, always forget my football, which was very unimpressive, but just always having to think, right? Again, a business coach cracks the goal. They hit $20,000 a month and then they ease off. They hit their goal of $50,000 a month, which I think in the business coaching world is kind of considered a bit of a heavyweight. You start doing over $500,000, do $600,000 a year with your business coaching company. I mean, you're a heavyweight. Well, they hit it and all of a sudden they put the emergency brake on, right? Like people hit their goal and then slow down. It's common, and this is not unique in any way, shape, or form to business coaching. This is in life, in politics, in marriages, in sports, in Hollywood, in business, whatever. Real monster style success is being world class, and it just, I don't know, it's inner drive. It's why athletes, Jordan Brady, Jeter, Serena, Gretzky, I keep going, you name whatever, athlete that you idolize or individual that you idolize, they'd accomplished more than they ever dreamt on the outside, but their inner drive is the one that's not satisfied. It's like a heavyweight success starts saying it's all about money or success. Like when they start framing it up like that, they're likely taking their eye off the prize and probably going in the wrong direction, I'm going to say. And remember, words mean very little. A lot of people out there, the influencers, quote unquote, talk, promise. And at the end of the day, the actions matter. Did you wake up at 5 a.m. this morning before the kids, before your wife, before your husband, before everybody, and do a little bit of work before everybody wakes up? Because that's when you had some peace. That's when you had some time. That's when you had some, what would I call it, guilt-free time to work on your business, right? And it's when the Bradys, the Jordans, the Gretzkys stop waking up at 5 a.m. to crush it. This is when they fall into trouble. This is when you hear them say, I knew it was time. Let me tell you, they didn't know it was time. They stopped waking up at 5 a.m. before their teammates. And this is when they knew they were in trouble. This is when they knew they were losing their edge. And that's when they decided that, you know what, I'm going to hang them up and it's time to go bye-bye. So when the business coach starts, so let's look at it from the other end. When the business coach starts waking up at 5, and of course that's a metaphor. You might be a night owl and just adjust all of those for yourself. But generally speaking, you'll find the most successful people in the world on average are morning people. They wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. Okay. But Tony Robbins is a night owl as an example. Okay. That's what he'll tell you. So he's a little bit outside of that. But when you start waking up at 5 a.m. to start crushing it, this is when I would say on the other side, you're well and truly on your way. The trick is to not lose it. This is that dreaded complacency. And be honest with yourself. Take a deep breath and measure your current level of intestinal fortitude around, I'm going to do what it takes today, this week, this month. What is that level of, I talked about mental strength being difficult to measure, like your height, your weight, your hat size, all these things can be measured. Your mental toughness can't be. Like, what is, if you were to be honest with yourself, and don't tell me and don't tell Road Dogg and don't tell anybody, do this for yourself. Where is that at? And then the question is, how do you get that to rise up? It's all about inner drive. Is just a level of energy. I'll meet 60-year-old people, 70-year-old people that have more energy than a 35-year-old because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Your body's the car, your mind is the driver. Question is the driver servicing the car? And is the driver hitting the gas pedal at 5,000 RPMs at every street light until the car breaks down, right? If you're stressed about every little thing, and that's what you're doing, revving your engine too much, right? Like by stress, and I mean stress by that, this is where you need a break. Right. So that's not complacency. It's just the exact same result, right? Where you're just like, oh, I just need a break. You take, complacency. It's not complacency that sits in, but all of a sudden the holidays start creeping in, right? And that's not to say you shouldn't take holidays. I am not the 24-hour hustle and grind guy. I don't buy into that. I think that you should have a great life. I think you should optimize for a great life, not a great business. Build a business to have a great life. But when you really do what you love, it's got power. I know, Road Dogg, actually, we were having a beer this week. We were talking about, the 4 things that motivate somebody. We talked about this on the podcast prior to this one. And that inner drive that I described, that thing that keeps you going when you've already had the success. Again, what made Wayne Gretzky wake up at 5 a.m. when he already had more money than he could ever spend and was married to a Hollywood superstar, except, playing in LA, Hollywood, all around him. How did he keep going? And it's one of 4 things: money, status, movement, or relationship. And understanding which one drives you, and by the way, drives your high-end coaching clients, is going to help you. It's going to help you motivate them, as the case may be. But more importantly, it's going to help you maintain that motivation over the long haul, right? And if I just, again, real quick, money, no doubt that's obvious. The guy or gal that wants to make a ton of money. Status, like what Road Dogg said to me over a beer, is that one sounds a little bit pompous, and that's fine. But this is somebody, so forget the word status, put mastery in there. This is someone driven to be the best at their craft. By a mile, these tend to be the highest achievers over the long haul. And then movement is about freedom. It's, some people work so that they don't have to work, right? Like, and And that's okay, by the way. You got to, give yourself the freedom, give your clients the freedom to be honest about that. If that's the goal, then that's what's going to keep driving them, right? But the question is, at what stage, like I don't know. I don't want to put this in a take a left corner here, but like when you retire, a lot of people have this picture of like $1 million. Oh, if I had $1 million, what would I do? $1 million, go have a look. It's nothing. Like you retire with $1 million, you'll be working at 7-Eleven at the age of 65. Pretty good chance of that, right? So like, what is that? Remember, when you retire, you don't want to retire with a ton of money. You want to retire with income. Okay. So what I mean by that, I don't want to buy the house and then pay it off and have it worth $1 million one day. I want to buy the house. Of course, I want to pay it off, but I don't worry about the mortgage. What I want is a renter in there paying me, let's hypothetically say $3,000 a month. For how long? For the rest of your life. That's retiring with income, not retiring with a fat bank account that could go, like, just look at 2008 and some of the people jumping off buildings. The reason why, I just described why. They retired with a nest egg and not income. And therefore, and then Bertie Madoff ran off with it. Bugger, but whatever. Conversation for another day. But I do think that that's important. Like what, complacency at what stage, and again, we've all got, these different things to drive us. But really importantly, of those four: money, status, movement, and relationships, one is going to be the clear winner for you, me, Road Dog, anybody listening. There's a clear winner, even though you kind of think that there's a few, right? And if you want to know which one, if I took one away, which one would drive you nuts? Which one can't you live without? Take a few minutes. You should easily be able to work out which one that is for you, right? And it's very powerful to understand, because then you know what's going to motivate you at a visceral level. And like I said, and whichever one it is, don't, like, if I say status is the one of the high achievers, disregard that. It's completely irrelevant. That what's going to be best, what drives Jeff Bezos and then Michael Jordan might be completely different. What's important is that they know what drives them and they keep moving towards it, right? And it's just, what is it? Cops are on a drug deal. They know who and what, but they just don't know when. Same with your coaching clients. What's the missing piece of their puzzle? What's the missing piece of your client's puzzle, right? Like one little distinction can change your life, can change a business, can change the trajectory of the wealth. You could create generational wealth with one idea, right? Like, okay, a couple quick little examples. You're betting on horses, okay? You don't bet until if you won or lost on the last one, right? If you're the average, unless you're an addict, and I'm not talking about those guys. If you go to the horses and you bet, you will wait until you won or lost the race before you'll go bet on the next one. So therefore, the quicker they get the bet, like the winner or losers to you, the quicker you'll bet. Well, technology therefore quadrupled the takings at the horse races by basically making that process almost instantaneous, right? So look, another example that I love is a poker table. Poker, like my dad was a professional poker player. I grew up, my dad would disappear for, a couple days at a time. He'd be playing poker. I knew poker very well. I personally can't. We talked about it on the podcast. I suck at poker, kind of intentionally. Doesn't matter. Somebody came up with the idea of putting two pieces of plexiglass on a table. You could therefore put a camera underneath. You can now see the cards. It took poker from back rooms, hiding from the police, into a sport that could be played on TV. So those two little pieces of plexiglass basically created billions of dollars of revenue for the coaching industry. I created profit acceleration software. I created digital acceleration software. We're about to launch group coaching software. And we've got a client simulator coming. Lots of really cool things. We're creating some software that I got to tell you, we're going to drop it all. Lots of it's already dropped. Lots of it's being improved. Lots of it's going to be dropped in the future. It's all does, if you like, why, what's the deal? It's just, I know that small little incremental changes in multiple areas create a compounding effect. And that's the magic. Whereas most people, like, as an example, I have a business coach and we say, you have to help the client create a market dominating position, right? Which, if you don't know what that is, think USP, unique selling proposition. No doubt you've heard of that. A market dominating position is just, it's similar, but 20 times as powerful, but it's similar. But then they go, well, I don't know how to create a market dominating position. But the magic is that the client, I don't need to meet the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher baker, candlestick maker to know that they don't have one. So if you create a bad one, it'll get a 3-5% improvement in their business. And then they don't have an upsell, right? Do you want me to supersize that? So if you create a bad one, you could create a 3% little improvement. And then they don't have a downsell. Okay, so they sell swimming pools and they don't sell jacuzzis. That's a stupid move. Because the jacuzzi is the downsell for those that can't afford the pool. So you don't have the downsell. You create a bad one, you create a 3% improvement. When you take a company and you put a 3% improvement in 12 different areas, you end up getting like hundreds of percentages of impact, right? Not remember, like hundreds of percentages, right? So again, they're trying to double their money on Bitcoin, and then you introduce, profit acceleration software in these 12 magical areas, like these 12 core areas, the fundamentals of a business, and make a slight improvement, and then by the way, you get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and then you hit 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, 12 months with your client, and you continue to work on the 12 areas and continue to make slight adjustments in each of the areas. This is how you get a monumental winner. So we built it on the back of small incremental changes. So Road Dog, I'm not sure, like complacency, I get it. It's just, you've got to have that inner drive. And quite frankly, you need to make sure that you got 3 boxes. You got lead gen, you got conversion, then you got fulfillment. Make sure you're working on all 3 of them and making slight adjustments and improvements in each of them as you're going, but keep them all active. You should always have new leads. You should always have new clients, and you should always have magical moments happening with your coaching clients so that they stick around for years instead of, weeks or months or what have you. So what do you think, bud?
Well, you know exactly what I think. I've been fascinated by this 4 things over the past week, and I've been bugging you about it pretty much every freaking day. But just on a sidebar here, we always get that question too, right? Like it goes hand in hand, like complacency comes in hand with motivation. How do I motivate myself? How do I motivate my clients? And the thing that comes to me with a lot of this, be it yourself, be it your client, right? So if you're dealing with a business and they're behind, right? They're playing catch up. They're so fixated on the money that they have to make to pay their bills, to meet their payroll, to just stay afloat, especially right now. They're so fixated on the money, and that doesn't drive them. It actually deflates them even more, where it's like they almost want it to burn to the ground so they can almost start something new and something fresh. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that's been really fascinating to me is we have the opportunity to come in and help them refocus of why they're doing it, right? So just on a quick sidebar on that, so for me, it's movement, freedom, 100 times. In the words of Karl Bryan, on steroids times 1,000, mic drop, the end, right? Like that is it for me. What would you say to a guy like me then? Like, would I plan mandatory almost vacations? Like, would I be doing sort of like spending a few minutes every morning kind of looking at the things that I want to do to motivate me to then just, okay, this is time to get to work because that's what I want? Or do you have any hacks on that?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I just want to rehash. So our conversation looked a little bit like you knew it's like, why am I working so hard? Why am I taking time away from my family or whatever that's looking at? Why am I working so hard? And I think, and I want you to tell me if I'm right here, but the missing piece for you is that you're working so hard for freedom. Like that, the freedom is what drives you. The money doesn't, right? Yeah. So when you connected that dot, it was like, oh my gosh, it's so much easier to wake up tomorrow to know that I'm working this hard for freedom, both freedom for myself, for my family, for my kids, for my wife, for my future, for retirement one day. Is that the moment that you had? Is that
100%? Because instead of looking at it rather than looking at it from the point of view of I need to make X and then that way I can do this, then whatever. It's like, no, you reframe your initial focus of what you want, and then you just sort of, oh, okay, so if I want that, I need to generate this, and it's not your primary focus.
Yep. Love it. So, okay. So what I would say, so what you're looking for is a little bit of a framework. And again, this is, a rabbit hole we could go deep down, but I can sum it up real quick. Here's what I do. Little red, whenever I'm coaching somebody, 3 things. Little red arrow, you are here. What are you looking to accomplish? And then I build a line in between the two. And that's exactly what I would do for Road Dog, right? And what I would do with your coaching client if we worked it out. So what you asked me is a hack. Like, do I set up, like, what I've got? So I got to do that with you. Little red arrow, you are here. We established a movement freedom is what really, that's your inner drive. That's why you wake up at 5 instead of 9 a.m. kind of thing, right? And then what do you actually want? So I got to accomplish that, right? So because freedom to you, freedom to me, movement to you, movement and freedom is the same, guys, right? So what is movement to you? Is it more short term where you just need to know that quarterly you're going to get away? Or is it more a retirement thing where your dad has battled in retirement, which isn't true. I'm just using this as an example. Your dad's battled in retirement and you saw how he ran out of money at the age of 67, ended up working at McDonald's or Home Depot or whatever, had to go back to work. You know what I mean? Like, is that what freedom means to you? Do you know what I mean? So I got to establish that. And it sounds to me, by the way you framed the question, that short-term holidays would be something that would motivate you big time. If you knew you were taking the girls away, every quarter, and you could book it off, and you could take then screw 3 days. We're talking about a 10-day real. I believe that you need 10 days as a real holiday. 3 days is a weekend to me. And and by the way, I'm highly driven. So the problem I have on holidays is it takes me 2 days to come down. And then the last day of my holiday is not a holiday because what I'm doing is now preparing for what I've got to do when I get back. And I was just away for a week, so I need to work, right? Hence what I just described is that enormous amount of holidays is not something that drives me. But this isn't about me. This is Road Dog. So Road Dog, I think what would help you, given the way you framed the question, is that if you set yourself up for a 10-day holiday every quarter and you went to your calendar right now, booked it off, I think that is what freedom means to you. And then that's what's going to drive you for the 90 days leading up to the 10 days. It's going to help you get up at 5 a.m. And then when the money falls into your bank account and it's overflowing and it's like, holy cow, you'll avoid complacency by continually being driven by that holiday, that 10 days, instead of where just the money's irrelevant.
Just increasing the quality of those holidays, right? Like that'll be the continual driver. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful. Glad that we could get into my own personal coaching session here this morning. Glad that you're all listening. It's fantastic. Hey, listen, I know that in probably speaking with any of your high school teachers, this would have never been on their radar in terms of a question, but it's hard for me to even read out loud. But as you get more popular, like I think people can understand, like that's just hard for me to say. Do you worry about haters like me? Just again, it's all in good fun with me, but for real though, like you're more of, I'm not going to say popular, you have more of a presence online, and as that continues to build, boy oh boy, the haters come, don't they? Like, how do you worry about it? How do you handle it? Like, how do you get through that?
First of all, I want to make sure I'm answering. As I get more popular, how do I worry about dealing with haters? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just say, look, my goal is not to become popular. I don't have a vision of being the next Tony Robbins in any way, shape, or form. I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm not interested. I have a vision of creating tools, creating profit acceleration software, digital acceleration software, our group coaching software. We get mental acceleration of becoming. Just let a cat out of the bag. But anyway, so the goal is to change the face of business coaching. My plan, I've said this, you can go back to many a podcast. My plan is to set the standard for the entire business coaching profession. But I don't pretend I'm not going to do it tomorrow, next week. I mean, group coaching software has been I've been talking about it for 7 months. It's about to drop literally, like, in fact, I got a Skype message before this call. Like, it's going to be in beta within 48 hours. So, but I'm not pretending to do this tomorrow. I'm looking at this in 10 years' time. I plan to be the only game in town as far as business coaching is concerned, right? And I'm not into it, quick buck. And I've declared this many times. So this is a podcast that ain't going anywhere and it's pretty popular. So like we're all going to know if I'm full of crap, right? And I'm totally cool with that, and I could be, and that's fine, right? But if I start all of a sudden trying to pad my bank account and work out how I can go to my existing clients and charge them for this and charge them for that and all that stuff, then that goal is not going to be fulfilled. If I continue to build, new stuff, the popularity is going to come, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's totally inevitable that if I accomplish 5% of what I just described, you're going to become more and more popular, right? And some of the emails that I get, I do send out 1 million emails a month, and some of the replies that I get are mind-bogglingly stupid. In fact, I wrote an email recently. Like if I said I wanted steak and eggs for breakfast, the response would be, "Oh, so you want to kill all vegans?" Right? That's a little bit dramatic and far. It's not like that, but some of the crap that comes your way. But guess what? World is a mirror, and I'm a bit of a smartass in my emails. So guess what? I get smartass replies. So for me to sit here and read a smartass reply and like get all taken aback by it, just so stupid, right? But anyway, so just ignore the noise. I don't know. And by the way, all that being said, I get some emails that keep me going. Don't you worry about that. And I appreciate every one of them for anybody listening that wants to send me good vibes. That would be cool. But, so you get some bad, you get some good. Really what you got to do, and you got to be very careful to read the good and think that it matters. And you got to be very careful to read the bad and think that it matters. What matters is that I continue to build tools that work. Actually, two things. I talked to a guy probably listening to this, but he's a software guy and we might be doing some stuff together on the weekend, but I'm just like, he's like, here's what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. Can you guys use it? Yada, yada, yada. I said two things. One, it's got to solve a problem. Okay. So I don't want to hear about the software. I want you to come to me and tell me what problem you're solving. And then two, it's got to work. That's it. That's as complicated as it gets. So what's important to me is not an email telling me how wonderful I am. Here's the question. Is what I'm building solving a problem? And then two, does it work? Right. And then, so I would be a jackass not to say that I get a lot of emails that say I'm not a jackass, but I also get a lot that like are amazing and I appreciate it. So whatever. This is about haters. Look, you've got an inner Jekyll and Hyde. Right. And including, I've got it, Road Dogg's got it, Jeff Bezos has it. He just retired with, at the age of 57 with nothing short of 197 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars. But here it is. There's two parts of your brain, Jekyll and Hyde. Think of one as big U and then think of one as little u. And as I'm saying this, I want you to think of your coaching clients as well, right? The question is, of Jekyll and Hyde, who's winning at any given moment, right? If you look closely, you can literally see somebody basically having an argument between little and big them, right? You ever seen somebody get angry at themselves? Like, why did I argue with my wife when I promised I wouldn't get triggered again? Why did I buy and drink that Slurpee at 7-Eleven when I said I would stop? Why did I buy that chocolate bar and not only buy it, but then I ate it? Why did I stop and have McDonald's again? I promised myself that I was going to, be eating fruits and vegetables and I even made myself fruits and vegetables and brought them to work. And now I'm eating McDonald's, right? Or a more dramatic example is the addict, drinking or doing drugs after quitting for a prolonged time, right? What this is prefrontal cortex sparring with your amygdala, right? So when you stop at McDonald's or drink a beer on Tuesday when you promised you wouldn't, it's little you, little brain winning over big you. And other times, by the way, and then when you do like this week, it's 40 degrees and I didn't go to Road Dogg's house to work out, right? Look, bottom line is, should I have? Could I have? Yes and yes. Did I? No. I guess there's an example of little brain one, right? And the next day, was I happy that I didn't go to Road Dogg's and work out? Absolutely not, right? So it's powerful to just understand, like big brain, I want you to think of it logical, conscious brain. And then little brain is emotional, subconscious brain. And the two are arguing, even as, like for Tony Robbins, this is happening. Jeff Bezos, this is happening. The biggest thinkers in the world, Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, this is happening, right? And then the question is, what's the score? And the answer is that their score, that, big brain is winning significantly over the other. If you introduce me to somebody who fights with their wife all the time, this is somebody who's letting little brain win, right? So, and as you can imagine, by the way, Okay, so let's take imagine two people, right, that are having an argument, but they're using their two little emotional brains to have the argument. Again, think husband and wife, think two friends, think two girls, two guys over a business deal, whatever it is, right? Like that is going to get, without participating, without seeing it, that's an argument that's going to get nasty, right? And it's not until somebody's big brain takes over to settle it down, right? And often that's not for hours, days, maybe even years in some cases, right? So the bottom line, just you have it, I have it, Road Dog has it, everybody we know has it. Little brain, big brain. The two are, punching on, I'm going to call it. And, like a WWE, whatever it is nowadays, WWF, WWE, whatever it is, Hulk Hogan stuff, Randy, Macho Man Savage, loved him. The little brains are taking over, and they need the big brain to get tagged and basically, step in, right? So, and it's like, okay, and I am guilty of this, guys, to be clear, like so guilty, it's insane as I explain all this, right? But like, it's like you're having a fight with your wife and you ask her to explain her thinking, right? Like she's seeing that as an attack. She then gets understandably angry. And then who doesn't get angry when they ask me this? Who's not going to get angry when they get attacked? Whether they're being attacked or not, it's that they think that they're being attacked, right? So the logical brain, it's not seeing this as a rational situation. And then, so the mental models, this is all, okay, problem. Mental model, seek first to understand rather than to be understood, which is straight from the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by the way. But seek first to understand rather than be understood. Okay, so this, what big brain would step in, you know what I mean, start thinking, but there's nothing rational about little brain. So your little brain's not going to go, oh, hang on a minute, I got to move to my mental model. You'll need your big brain to step in and say, well, this is where if you have a rule, something like 5 seconds, you're about to react in a harsh way. Like that's an okay strategy, but that's still this problem is not, if you take 5 seconds and let little brain take over in second 6, you're not going to get very far. The trick is to take 5 seconds, think of a mental model where you go, hang on a second, as an example, maybe I first need to seek to be to understand the other person's perspective before I look to be understood. Because the mistake that you have is you're trying to be understood, right? And that is not the roadmap. That's basically going to get you there. And I'll just tell you, this is like the root of so many people, and very intelligent people, by the way, but so many people's unhappiness. And it's just mind-boggling crazy. Let me just put this in plain English, because I think I'm kind of like, in a real situation, you need to not let your need to be right overpower your need to find what is true in this situation. Right? I think I screwed that up. But you must not let your need to be right overpower your need to find what is really true in the individual situation. Right? Like, what is really true? I think that is like higher level thinking. That is big brain taking over big time. Right? And if you start searching for that, what is really true, your life is going to become markedly easier. And bonus point here, life is a mirror. And as you start to use big brain more, and again, think of with your wife, with your clients, with your staff, right? You use big brain more. You take 5 seconds, go into a mental model and think about it, rather than letting little emotional brain, the money that it has cost me, my little emotional brain, I can't begin to tell you. Let big brain take over, and life is going to become significantly greater. So, but life is a mirror, right? So when you start using big brain more, you're going to have people coming back to you using big brain more, right? So the bottom line, and what I'm trying to get at here is the biggest hater you need to overcome is you, little you more specifically. And haters are going to come, you're going to take market share, you're going to take sales. They're going to start hearing your name when they're trying to close or do business with people. and they're going to be leaving and going business to do business with you. Like, people are going to start hearing about you as you do more things. And it might be on a grand scale, and it might be on a small, like, this is worse on a local scale than, like, a bigger scale, right? So don't think that you're going to accomplish big things and then not have people come along and hate you, is what I'm trying to say. And then actually on a very different direction, like, I interviewed a heavyweight in the accounting, small business finance world not recently, not an influencer, but a guy worth like $100 million, right? Like, this is a intelligent guy, times a million, on steroids, mic drop, the end, etc. So and he actually said to me something to the effect of it. He goes, you don't realize this, but I've been following some of your stuff on accounting and small business. And he was looking at it, and he asked his team, who is this guy? And let's get a hold of him. And basically, and here we are, to do. And, that was people start to notice when you do good things. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Don't be stupid. Don't go after people unnecessarily, though. Life is a mirror. And then if you go after them, they're going to come after you, right? You go after people in a professional, strategic way, expect them to accept you in a professional, strategic manner as well, right? So I don't know if haters and arguments are what, you want to be thinking about during the day versus, doing your thing. It's just becoming the best business coach in the city. Little brain wants you to be arguing about nothing. Big brain wants you to change the world. I don't know. And maybe ambitious, lazy people are dangerous. Let me just tell you that, right? And I often, you'll find a lot of influencers, quote unquote, fall into this category. But when you have somebody who's lazy and highly ambitious, I'm going to recommend you step aside, okay? Because these are the kinds of guys that start coming after you and won't leave it alone, etc. They want to think big, do nothing. And by the way, I've been railing against influencers lately, so maybe that wasn't the smartest move, but who cares? Whoops. Anywho, let's carry on. Your biggest enemy is you, little you. Who's winning? Little or big. Think about this. Give yourself some grace and get a little bit better every day. Remember, at your funeral, they're not going to talk about your accomplishments. They will talk about what kind of person you were in the process of achieving those those accomplishments. So the last thing you should be worrying about are haters. Let them worry. Like, haters worry, like, the haters are worrying about you. If you give them your mental real estate, you're giving them exactly what they want. And I don't think that is the way you go. If you want to fly, you need to give up what weighs you down. So I don't know. I am not concentrating on haters, whether I'm gaining them or losing them. And I'm certainly not trying to keep everybody happy. That is not on my roadmap. I couldn't give a rat's backside.
Can I add to that, Karl? Because I honestly believe this. You care far more about the people that you serve, so much so that you ignore the haters by default as a result of that.
Yeah, there you go. Just that's it, Road Dog. High five, shoots. Perfect.
Right. So, and by the way, one thing that that I pulled out of that early in that rabbit hole was your popularity or status are inevitable. Like, yeah. when you accept that, it's not about worrying about haters. It's about how you're going to deal. It's going to happen. So what can you do to prepare yourself mentally to know that they're coming, right? Because again, when you know the battle's coming, you're going to be better prepared than if it's a surprise attack.
And it's little, and you got little you and then big you, and which were like all of a sudden little you is going to be like emotional, right? And then big you is going to be like, well, no, it was going to happen. Like, again, Warren Buffett was a nobody up until, like, he was worth, $1 billion plus before anybody knew who the heck he was, right? Like, he didn't care, It's like the Ray Dalio. You probably, there's a good chance you still don't know who Ray Dalio. He's one of the greatest thinkers of, like, he'll go down as one of the greatest thinkers of all time. I didn't know who he was up until a few years ago, and now he's pretty big news, right? But again, it was inevitable, right? And so there you go, Shoots. That's my answer.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna have one more question, but first off, clearly Karl's not worried about being popular. He's one of like 3 people that still uses Skype. So, like, who uses Skype? Come on, man! Holy smokes! I know you like Bill Gates, but this is next level. Hey, listen, I don't want to take too much time because I know we're sort of up against it here a little bit, but just I don't even know if this is going to be a rabbit hole, perhaps. You said that you're not interested in being popular, the next Tony Robbins, which size wise, it's like watching the movie Twins with Arnold and Danny DeVito, anyways. But that's actually fantastic. I need to up my Photoshop game. But with that in mind, if you're not interested in being popular, does that not contradict your primary motivator in that force of that status, right? Like that's yours, right? Yours is that mastery in status, but you said you don't want to be popular. Does that not contradict itself?
Yeah, that's like, so of the big four, just make sure everybody money, status, movement, relationships, right? So yeah, I could totally see it as that. Status is mine for sure. But again, mastery, like you just said, like mastery, like when I play beer league, I want to score the winning goal. I want to win. Like mastery is about just trying to be, and not being, it's trying, it's working towards being the best, right? So I want to win. I want to win I play beer league hockey. I want to win, right? It's not going to ruin my day if we don't win. When I go mountain biking, I went mountain biking with a buddy of mine. He used to compete, very, very good. Literally my first time. I don't care. I want to keep up with him. I want to beat him. Like there's just no question. That's just in me. And it doesn't mean that I will, right? But I'm not scared to, right? Like I'm not scared to win. And a lot of people, it's a very important statement. I'm not scared to win. Are you? Right? So now my goal is to set the standard for the entire business coaching profession. Again, there was no business coaching software before, we rolled up and started creating it. So that's what drives me, so like you said, that's just, I guess with developing that, it's going to come a little bit, right? And if it does come, I'm going to be okay with it. And as you said, becoming quote unquote more popular, like whatever that is. But no decision on a daily basis that I make is ever going to be driven by popularity. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Like you said, I'm here working for my clients. I'm here working for my prospects. I'm here working for the business community as a whole. And I get 100,000 people that read my email on a daily basis during the week. Like I work hard to write those emails. I don't get paid 5 cents to write those emails, and it's freaking hard work. I've written every single word ever put on those bad boys. I try to make them funny. I try to make them humorous. So I'm trying to just give value. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to be the best, Road Dog. Like Gary Vee, he's got a very different Northern Star. Like I pretty much refuse to leave my office, and he flies around the world and doesn't stop. COVID must have absolutely drove the guy crazy. Because he's looking for it. Gary Vee's North Star is, does it get me attention? Does it get me eyeballs? Right? That's not my Northern Star, not even close. So this podcast, my pure and transparent goal is just to provide some value, in the body of work. I try not to hold anything back. So yeah, I'm just driven by I don't know. And I hope what I'm not trying to say, I screw things up better than anybody you've ever met. I make all kinds of mistakes. I made a mistake yesterday. I'll make a mistake today. I will make a mistake tomorrow, but I'm, not scared to win, and I'm just going to keep cranking. So if becoming popular comes with that and collecting some haters comes with that, it's just going to be whatever. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to be the guy out there promoting, multiple streams of income and passive income on his Facebook page. You know what I mean? Like my goal is to influence in a positive way. Road Dog, I guess you can influence in a negative way, give some bad advice. My goal is to influence in a positive way and stretch people's perception of what's possible for them. My goal is not to be known as an influencer in any way, shape, or form. And that's Tony Robbins is an influencer, but he is an influencer, in my opinion, of the greatest kind, where he puts out an unbelievable message. He puts unbelievable time and professionalism and strategic planning around what it is that he teaches. I believe that he's got the best, personal development content on the planet. Nobody still touches him, in my opinion, and I'm happy for somebody else to have their opinion. So that's my goal, Shoots. I could see how that seems a little bit conflicting, but no, my goal is to build the absolute best software that sets the standard for the entire business coaching profession. If you saw we've created a little bit of a tree where we've got all the different, types of software and solutions, like all the different problems that we see out there in the business coaching profession. And then we've attached, a software, quote unquote, solution for each of them. And so we're just going to keep cranking, doing that, Shoots, and whatever comes. But status slash mastery is what drives. But so it's just, I think what's important, and I certainly hope this doesn't sound like I'm sitting here beating chat. None of that, right? It's whatever. There's just, and everybody's going to know either I'm going to follow through or I'm not. And I'm cool with it. But I know what drives me. I know what motivates me. And that is what continues. That's why complacency is not a problem. A horrific, something could go dangerously wrong. And it is not going to deter me in any way, shape, or form because I know what I'm driven by. So, and I think that comes back, Shoots, to the beer that we had and where you were like, wow, that movement freedom thing that I wanted, we delved a little bit deeper over a couple of beers to do. And I felt like that was like a bit of a shift. You know what I mean? You were like, it took some pressure off, right? Like where you knew what the hell you were doing and why you were doing it. I think that that's so important for others to be able to, be doing their podcast and speaking in the same way. I think knowing that inner drive, what really, really motivates you around money, status, movement, and relationships is a bit of a game changer. So yeah, not a concern.
100%. The only thing I'm going to say to that, Karl, is it's interesting because I could see how somebody could look at it and go, oh, what, he's seeking status? He's seeking status by the result of what he's building rather than seeking status for recognition.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? That's really important, Road Dog. Like we both done Tony Robbins a lot, right? Like there's six needs of the average human, right? One of them is significance. And if significance is what drives you or drives your coaching client, they are hooped. They're screwed. They got no chance. Because significance will never be satisfied. You meet Hollywood superstar, Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift popularity, and you are not going to satisfy significance. So if you allow significance to drive you, you're hooped. There's growth and contribution, frankly, is what drives me at a really, really high level when I go to the 6 needs of Tony Robbins. So yeah, that's a significance. If significance drives you, you're screwed before you start.
And that's my point, right? Because for you, it's not that you want to be the most popular guy on the internet. Your whole thing is you don't want to be the most popular guy, but you want to be recognized as the guy that changed the game and made those people's lives easier as a result of the hard work that you put in creating this. So I think
that would be, you just define that. That would be the goal. But I hope, Road Dog, that what I'm not doing here, like I said, is sitting here going, look, I want everybody to listen to this and go, okay, well, like take that and then turn it into your own magic. What drives you? What are you creating? How are you going to change the game? Go change the game for local business owners. Go change the game for local chiropractors. Go change the game for the local chamber of commerce. Go change the game for start a networking group that changes people's lives. If you love golf and you create like golf networking, but you don't set out to make a bunch of money, you set out to get 150 local business owners out golfing and make sure that they all get 5 deals each as a result of your community and your, golf networking, whatever you call it, right? Like there you go. Now there's a goal. There's something you're to make a lot of money with. Not what people do is they go to the networking function and try to make some money. They go to the golf course, try to make some money. They join the oil and gas club, try to make some money, and then get surprised when it doesn't work, right?
But when really their number one is probably relationships. So I'm going to hijack the close of this and just say, I would say the number one thing that you can implement into your business and into your life today, because I know it's had a huge impact for me over the past 7 days, is just simply when you look at money, movement, status, and relationships, if we took one away from you, you would go absolutely bonkers. Which one is that for you? Like, would you not agree, Karl? That would be the number one thing that anyone could do right now is just like, because once you have that, you've got your motivation. You're going to set up those calls. You're going to go after it at that point.
100%. Well, 100%. So do it for yourself, but then do it with each of your coaching clients. Do it with your prospects. Do it with your family. Do it with your friends. Do it for your extended family. Like it really is. It's understanding what drives you is this huge power in that. Huge power in that.
Love it. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man on top of the hill, King Karl. If you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want more information about how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with a fellow coach or someone you think that might make a great coach. And of course, as always, we'd appreciate if you would rate these episodes as well if you like what you heard. And that is it for another fantastic week. We will see you in the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.